All right, so now what I want to show you guys in more detail is our 3-step process for landing meetings with dream clients, because that's what we're teaching you in this course. What we're teaching you is how to get a meeting with anybody, how to get a meeting with any prospect, except maybe like Elon Musk or Donald Trump. You might have to try something different for that. But ultimately, no matter what your niche is, no matter what kind of clients you serve or who you're trying to get in touch with, this process will work to basically reach almost anybody in the world. So there's 3 steps to the process. 1 is identify, 2 is message, 3 is convert. So first, just to explain why there's 3 different steps. If you've already been doing some cold outreach, I find a lot of people, they just kind of go out and wing it. They go out sending some messages, calling on some prospects. But if you can kind of break up the steps, it's a lot easier to wrap your head around. It's a lot easier to optimize each of the 3 parts if you need to improve something. And ultimately, later, when you want to maybe delegate this to a team member, it's much better to have this as a 3-step system. So you want to really look at this as a system with different components rather than just going out and winging it. That way it's much easier to optimize and scale it later. So the 3 steps is, number 1 is identify, which is basically finding prospects. Number 2 is message, which is actually starting the conversation. And number 3 is convert, taking all those conversations and moving them down the next step in the sales process, which is getting a meeting or a demo or whatever that looks like in your business. So number 1, identify, is finding prospects. The goal of this step is to actually build a list and do the research to find people that are in your target market that you want to send a message to and reach out to. Now, this is a really important step. It's much better to do this first before you just go out and start talking to people, because the easiest thing to do is to have a list of like a few hundred or a few thousand prospects and set that aside. That way you have your work set for you for the next few weeks. That way you can just kind of go through them and really be in flow with having conversations and talking to people. So again, that's also why we separate out the steps, just to be more efficient, but also because they're kind of different tasks. You're using different parts of the brain. Some is more creative, some is more tedious, some more analytical. So it's better just to kind of separate these and do these in bulk so you can be more productive. Now, the identify stage is really, really important, because if you have all of your messaging great later and you have a great offer, but it's falling on the wrong ears, then it's going to be a problem, right? Like if you were trying to sell meat to someone who's vegan, it doesn't matter how amazing your meat is or if it's the best price, you're never going to make that sale, right? So ultimately, it's really important that you actually start with the right prospects and you've really done your research and narrowed down a list of people who are the right fit to work with you. And we'll go into this more later, but it's very, very important that you have the right targets to begin with. Now, step 2 is messaging. And ultimately, this is more about starting conversations, and the goal here is to actually generate leads. A lead is classified as a positive response, basically someone that responds to your outreach and says, yes, I want to learn more, or yes, let's set up a call. So that's the goal of number 2. And really the skill here is actually copywriting, really learning to get good at getting your messaging down and knowing how to really speak to the problems and the priorities of your target market in an effective way. Step 3 is to actually convert these leads into a call. So in step 3, you're following up with all of the people that said yes to you, all the people that responded to you, and you're trying to ask for the call and move the conversation to the next step. Because what you don't want to happen is you don't want to be in a 20 email thread conversation with your prospects, because ultimately you're not trying to sell over email or LinkedIn. You're just trying to get someone interested enough to have a meeting with you, because you're not going to sell anything high ticket over an email or a LinkedIn message. You really need to get people on the call to make sure that it's the right fit and that they can see the value and understand what it is you do. Awesome. Now, before we dive into actually executing on those 3 steps, there's a couple prerequisites and things you want to have done ahead of time to set yourself up for success, like dialing in your messaging, getting clear on your customer avatar, and a few other things. So we're going to show you all those in the next few lessons. I'll see you in the next one.